Welcome in, Irish Nation, to the Golden Dawn here from this beautiful Tuesday night in Youngstown, Ohio. I'm with Coach Reardon here, the Ursuline Fighting Irish head coach. Coach, you had a big win over East last week, a dominating fashion. Some mistakes, though. What was your overall thought on that game? And thanks for joining me.
Yeah, so first of all, thought we played really well at times, yet we had plenty of mistakes to correct as coaches, and we were a little bit sloppy with the ball. We had a couple snap issues and a couple turnovers, and we're never happy about that, obviously. So, the good news is that our defense played really, really well. Outside of two plays, East hit one big pass play against us, and then they had a scramble, broke contained for a touchdown. Shortly after the big pass play. So, outside of those two plays, I thought our defense, really played physical football, and we got some takeaways as well, which was nice. I thought our special teams played well. So, a lot of good things, but definitely some things to clean up.
In post-game interview, you mentioned you really didn't have a number of how many different players have scored for you because it's been so many, and how important is that going to be going into a very good defense in Harding, who hasn't given up many points this year.
Yes, so their defense is playing well. I think that their entire program has a lot of energy and enthusiasm, and Coach Richardson and their staff they've done a really good job of just kind of reinvigorating things, and you can see that how they play, and they're off to a 3-1 start as a result of that.
You got some players, Coleman and Sims, they're both playing well, and they're always dynamic as well as, like you mentioned, their whole defense. So what's kind of look out for that Harding team and what we can expect?
Well, I think the big thing, we have to limit big plays, and they have some big play guys. They have a number of skill guys who have the ability to exploit you if you're not sound. And so first and foremost, we need to recognize formations, get lined up properly, and that's a huge part of being cap sound on defense. And if we're lined up properly, that allows us to play fast, and then we have to tackle well and run to the football and all those things that we always preach. But it is a big challenge because they do have some big playmakers, and Coleman is a really good football player in all three phases of the game, and we have to know where he is at all times, and be able to account for him and structure our game plan accordingly.
And you guys have a big matchup at Mollenkoff, and that's mostly where it's been. But Mollenkoff's a great stadium, and they always get a lot of fans out there for their program. That is a great tradition, just like yours. So what's it going to be like atmosphere-wise? Because I'm sure a lot of people are going to be there.
Well, we expect a great atmosphere. The city of Warren, football's important to them. They have great community support, and it's going to be a nice night. And they have a beautiful new facility, for their student athletes to use, and it's always a good atmosphere. And I think when you have two really good football teams coming in, it's going to be that much bigger of a crowd, that much more enthusiasm, and our kids need to embrace the atmosphere, and I'm looking forward to it.
Remember, years ago you were, of course, an assistant coach
Yep.
there. So does it add a little more extra going back there every time you see them on the schedule, like a little sense of just fondness, memories?
So first of all, I coached at Warren Harding for 6 years, and early in my career, I was an assistant for both Gary Barber for a couple of years, then Tom McDaniels for 4 years. During those years, I had a chance to coach with Matt Richardson for several years, and in addition to that, some of the other guys on staff, were a part of the program in various capacities, and so there's a lot of familiarity with the personnel from that standpoint. Some of us go way, way back. I had 6 great years coaching there.
Right.
We had some really good teams over that time, and developed a lot of friends as a result of it. But with that in mind, it'll always hold a special place in my heart. Because I started my career there and had such a good experience there. As far as does it add anything more to the game, I don't think it does. I mean, I enjoy going back there because it's a great atmosphere to play a football game in. From a personal standpoint, that doesn't affect what goes on the field.
No, of course, yes.
We're going to prepare accordingly because it's a really good football team, and hopefully our preparation doesn't change much from week to week, regardless of who we play, if we're doing a good job as coaches. That said, it's going to be a great crowd. It's going to be people I know on the other sideline, and some people in the stands that I know because of my years over there. But to talk about that, that's going to take away from what the kids are doing on the field.
No, yeah. And so, of course, an old Steel Valley rivalry. And, what's it like to have that constantly be renewed every year? Because, with not being in the same conference, it doesn't have to be, but it is every year.
Yeah, I think it's a mutual respect between both programs, and I think both of us want to play as many quality opponents as possible. And historically, there's been a lot of fantastic football games between the two schools. And again, I've been on both sides of it, and so I've seen it from both angles. When I was over there, Darryl Clark and Josh Swager were playing quarterback, and Louis Arizari, and some of the big names in Ursuline history. So I have a little bit of a unique perspective because those guys come around our program now, and I never coached them, but I had a game plan against them and knew how good of football players they were from that standpoint. So it's a unique perspective that way. But yeah, it's going to be a fun night.
And your quarterback, of course, is taking care of the ball. Last game was just his first interception through the first 4 games, so that's a positive sign. But before the game, mentioned a couple guys only had a couple catches, but then they had a couple catches in the game, so that just speaks to the depth and talent on your roster, correct?
Yeah, I think so. And again, I think the more that we can distribute the football to all the different skill positions, our X, Y, the inside receivers, the R and the L, the tailback, our H-backs when they're in the game, our tight ends when they're in the game. And it forces our opposition, whoever we're playing, Warren Harding this week, but it forces them to defend all of this, the different skill positions. And to me, that makes you a balanced offense. A lot of people talk about a balanced offense, being run pass, and, 60-40 run pass or whatever, 50-50 sometimes try to be. We don't look at it like that as much as we look at it, how do we make sure our X receiver gets some touches so they have to defend them, our Y, our Z, and so on. And, all those different positions go into the game plan. And, then the second piece of that is if, a defense is doing a certain thing to take away our X receiver, who usually is Devontae Taylor, or our Y receiver, who's Ray Javier or Tyran Davis, if they're spinning a coverage or trying to do something, because they expect a certain play in a certain situation, hopefully we have a plan B to, counter their move.
So you talked about a little bit about what I'm about to ask next, but what's going to take the win come Friday night over there in Warren?
Well, first of all, winning the turnover margin is huge, and we always preach that. And last week we were a little bit sloppy with the ball, but we still won the turnover margin, and we were not pleased with our effort offensively, and we muffed a punt and some of those things. So that's something that we have to clean up. But we always talk about the takeaway margin, and the second thing that we always talk about is impact plays, and there's a bunch of different ways to get an impact play: a sack, an interception, a caused fumble, a TFL, a offensive play over 20 yards, a fourth down conversion. I go on and on and on, and things that we track, and that's something that turnover margin and impact plays. If we win those two aspects of the game, we're probably going to win the football game. And there's always outliers when you look at statistics, but statistically over the course of my career, those two things are the two big ones.
And lastly, what's your message to Irish fans heading over to Mollenkopf Stadium on Friday night?
Yeah, just be loud. It's going to be a big crowd on their side. I know that. It's going to be a great atmosphere, and we need a bunch of people wearing green and gold and not black and gold.
And Coach, thanks for joining me. Ursuline taking on Warren Harding. A couple of 3-1 teams going at it from Mollenkopf Stadium on a Friday night. We'll hope you guys are going to be there, and we'll see you next time here on YSN Live.